What's up, everybody? Welcome on back, man. We're here, high off the glass. Oh, the great. Got an awesome new guest in the building today. Young basketball aficionado. Goes by the name of Dime Dropper. Love what this dude talks about. Love what he does. He's taken this new thing that Twitter has. You guys need to check it out too if you're not familiar. It's called Twitter Spaces. It's basically what Clubhouse has. It's basically you can get a room. You put your topic up. People join as they come, as they see it. They come and they can come and talk, or they can come and listen. And Dime Dropper does this, once a week on Wednesdays. His show is amazing. It's just a space. We come and we talk basketball. He sets a topic up. And Dime, you are the man. Thank you for coming to High Off the Glass, man. Thank you for coming through.
Thanks so much, man. That was thanks for the nice intro, the kind words. I appreciate it. It was great having you in the space for that first time. We had some good talk. I encourage people to come talk ball on Wednesdays.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on Wednesdays. Give them the time real quick. What's the time on
it? Usually 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that would be 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Central. Every Wednesday. And I usually go for a couple hours until I want to kill it. Sometimes it goes too long, but I let it ride, honestly.
Right.
Sometimes.
So come on down. Check that out, man. If y'all want to talk, you want to hear some good basketball talk on Twitter, that's the spot you go to on Wednesdays. My man breaks it down. So, Dime, man, I want to get into you, man. You gave me a little teaser earlier before the show, like, what's up with you, like your family and all that. But like, how does, you're from Los Angeles, okay?
Yep.
You have your Iranian background?
Yep.
Okay, so tell me about your parents. How did they get here? How did that start?
Oh, well, they came during the Iranian Revolution, like many Iranians came to Los Angeles. Okay. And they met each other here in LA. Actually, they're both from Iran, but they met each other here in LA. Okay. Went to college, became citizens. Had to learn English when they came here. Wow. And then raised a family late 90s. And then that's when I came, 98.
Nice.
And
young buck.
Yeah, been in LA ever since. Yeah, young. I know. Been in LA ever since. And it's been I have to be very thankful to them because it's been I've always had a great family situation, and they've always been great with each other and great with us. So got to be very thankful.
Well, what was it? You said something earlier. What's the Iranian Revolution? When was that, and what was it?
Well, they got the new Shah, the new Shah, and I always forget the exact details, man. I feel such an idiot when I forget the exact details.
Oh, it's okay, don't.
But I think they had a change in dictatorship to the yes, there it is, the Islamic Revolution.
Okay.
Dethroned the Shah and it became the Islamic Republic of Iran. Before it was just Iran. And I know that my parents and people like the people that left, they don't mess with Islamic Republic because it's like a theocracy. You know what I mean? Like they hold like the religion, like everyone's just super religious. Like, just recently they started letting, do they still, I don't even have to check if they let women into soccer games.
Right.
Like it's like crazy.
Right.
It's bad. But yeah, so obviously they left because they wanted a better life. And obviously America, that's what they say, land of the free.
Yeah, home of the brave, all that good stuff. At least that's what they say in the commercials. Right, but it's better than some places. All right, so they come here. They, you said that your family, your parents met here, huh? From Iran, but met in Los Angeles. Yep. Get married, have you, and then you come in '98. Tell me, how does some young Iranian kid, Iranian American kid from LA. But it's kind of a dumb question because you're born and raised in Los Angeles. You were surrounded by basketball. Like who brought the love of basketball into your home and put it in front of you?
I'd say my uncles. I have two uncles, both on my mom's side. No uncles on my dad's. So they lived in LA and were born and raised. Oh no, I'm sorry. The older one is around 50. He moved with my mom, but he's like 4 years younger. So he went to first 10 or so years in Iran and then the rest here. Laker fan. And then my younger uncle was actually the first one of the family that was born in America in 1983.
Wow.
So he's born and raised in America, and we always played basketball. And then obviously, my dad would watch here and there. So I started playing it at school when I got the chance. The elementary school I went to when I first started getting into the game when I was 7, we had it was so big because it was a big public school in Los Angeles. Kids busting from everywhere, which I liked because it got me to experience the diversity of LA, even though it was in a nice area.
Right.
But
What area you from? Where you from in LA?
oh well, I'm from the West Side.
Okay.
And this school I went to was just a public school in Brentwood.
What's the
And
neighborhoods in the West Side? For those of us, I'm not
like
from LA.
like Malibu, Palisades, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills,
Okay, rich area.
Westwood,
Right.
Venice.
Okay.
You could say West Hollywood,
Right.
Marina Del Rey, like by the water, essentially.
Right. Rich areas. Right.
Yeah,
On.
you can say that.
Okay. And the school was and you dug the school. It was super packed with kids, but you liked that because it was diversity. But what was the deal? You said it reset.
I didn't like the school, to be honest. It was too big in terms of an elementary school. You didn't get to know kids because the school was so big. You had assigned play areas. So like one week could be handball, another week could be field, and like you would seldom get basketball. When you got it, it was a huge occasion.
Right.
And that just sucked. And you didn't get to and again, assigned lunch tables too. You didn't get to mingle with any other kids in any other class. You'd be lucky to get one kid from your previous class in your class the next year. So it's hard to build connection. And a lot of kids were bussed in. Not many were from the neighborhood. Right. So I didn't really get to hang out with any outside of school. So I didn't really like the school, but I did like that it exposed me to diversity early at a young age. But I was also exposed to diversity within my household because my parents always worked. So I had a babysitter that took care of me, but she lived with us 6 days a week. And she was from Guatemala and taught me how to speak Spanish at a young age. So like I speak Spanish still, Farsi and English, but I honestly speak Spanish, honestly, better than I speak Farsi.
What's Farsi? What's Farsi?
The Iranian dialect, Persian dialect.
And you speak Spanish better than that?
Yeah, I do.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
So your uncles, they're the ones who put the basketball, in your hand, put the love in your hand. Are they the ones that opened you up to the game?
I think it was just connection.
Hello?
Man, was it mine?
Oh no, I think it just froze up for a second. It's good.
I hope it's not my connection that's bugging though. Yeah. This is supposed to be my good Wi-Fi.
It's probably mine. I think mine is at medium or something. It's all good. Go ahead.
No, I didn't even hear the question because I think you cut out.
Oh snap! My bad. Oh yeah, my signal's kind of weak. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. It's your show, so I'm chilling.
Right
it doesn't matter.
It's all good. My question: they're the ones who, your uncles, are they the ones who put the ball in your hand, put the love of basketball in front of you, okay?
Yeah, I'd say so. Just put the ball in. My grandma's house had a basketball hoop, so they took me out there. Even though it was weird when I made my first shot, I still didn't like basketball that much. I don't think. I hadn't played sports like that much at all, but I was always into running and like being active as a kid. So once they started playing basketball, I was old enough to really play a sport and really make shots on a 10-foot here and there. Mm-hmm. Man, I started watching the game simultaneously as playing, and it just it was crazy after that. It took off. Wow. I didn't even I can't even begin to explain I'd look up the stats every night. I would do everything to know more than the kid in the class. It was weird. It was this weird competitive thing. I wanted to know more about the league than any kid in the class, while also trying to get better at my game as well.
Whoa, okay, yeah, because you confused me. So you went from making your first shot to not really liking the game, but then slowly liking it, then dove into trying to make your game better and knowing the most about the NBA, the greatest sports league in the world. You wanted to know more about that than anybody at the same time.
Yeah, and in my class,
wow. Yeah. How old are you at this time?
7 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and look, I could tell you like my first my first game I went to that year. I remember that playoffs, 2006 playoffs vividly, like vividly.
Right. Who was your team? Who was your team?
Oh, my team is the Clippers. Sadly, well, actually, no, not anymore. Not anymore. Sadly, I'm gonna say that with pride now.
Yeah.
Um, I so simultaneously at this time that all this is happening, my love for the game is brewing. My uncles are Laker fans, like big
Okay.
time Laker fans,
Okay.
especially my younger uncle.
Right.
And I remember it was January of '06, and I'd say like if you asked me, I'd consider myself a Laker fan here.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I knew that much about the Clippers at all,
Right.
but I didn't really know that many players. I was just getting into the game. All I knew was Kobe, really.
Right.
And
Cool.
Kobe and Shaq. Those are the two, like, as a kid in LA during my time, the two first athletes you've ever heard of were Shaq and Kobe
Yep.
in that order. Shaq was larger than life when I was a kid. Like, he was just a monster. And Kobe was like the young upstart that was like really, really good.
Right.
That was the time. But I wasn't old enough to remember the games. So like I'm not gonna front and act like I remember Robert Ory's shot in real time or anything like that.
Right.
But '06 was the year I was getting into it. I remember January of '06. You could say I was a Laker fan here, I guess. But LeBron was playing Kobe, and it was a great game. And my uncle was at the game. And LeBron and Kobe are exchanging buckets. Kobe hits a go-ahead shot. LeBron gets a chance to win and misses. And the Lakers win. And I remember I just started crying. And my mom was like, "What the hell? You wanted the Cavs to win?" And I was like, "No, I just want to go to a game. I'm jealous that my uncle got to go to such a good game. I've never gone now that I know what's going on." So a couple weeks later, or like a week later, they told me they had tickets to a game. And they were like, "But it's Clippers." And I was kind of bummed at first. I was like, "Damn, why not Lakers?" She was like, "It's too expensive." And I was like, "All right, Clippers against the Phoenix Suns." This is Steve Nash coming off his MVP season, and he would go on to win MVP the same year.
Ooh.
Yeah, Clippers. I remember like I was sitting behind the basket around, 200s or 100 section,
Yeah.
and Clippers lost by 10. And I remember walking out with both my parents, my sister, and I started crying in the parking lot. I used to cry a lot as a kid. I don't cry as much anymore, but I was crying in the parking lot, and I was like, "Man, the Kobe's gonna get him. Like Kobe's gonna beat these guys." A couple weeks later, Kobe played them, and they got waxed, Lakers. And I was like, "Man, maybe the Lakers aren't all that." And then I turned around that same time, I'm flipping through the channels, and the Clippers are playing the Detroit Pistons on KTLA 5, which is a channel that the Clippers played on some of their games.
Right.
The Detroit Pistons at this time, it could not be further from what they are now. When I say the Pistons on the schedule, that's a guaranteed loss. Like Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun, and the Wallaces.
Conference champs. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And they just won the championship 2 years ago, just lost in the game 7 the year before. They were the number 1 seed in the East. Right. I turn on the game. It's the second quarter, and the Clippers are winning at the Palace. Wow. And, as a 7-year-old kid, they would go on to lose the game, but they competed. And I was like,
who's on this Clipper team? Who's on this Clipper team?
This is Sam Cassell, Quentin Ross, Corey Maggette, Katino Mobley, Chris Kaman, and a prime Elton Brand, and Sean Livingston off the bench, and Corey Maggette. So it wasn't a bad team. And Mike Dunleavy Sr. was the coach.
When Quentin Richardson went on that team?
Not anymore. He was on the Knicks here.
Oh, okay. With my boy D Miles. D Miles went on there.
That's earlier 2000s, just before me. I wish I was there for the Knuckleheads. A lot of people became fans for the Clippers during Knuckleheads.
Definitely. Okay. Wow. So
when I saw them play against the Pistons, I was like, you know what? The Clippers are like as good as the Lakers, and everyone likes the Lakers. And like, it's kind of annoying. I've always been a guy that goes against, you could say a contrarian to some extent, like go against the grain. Like, I don't like doing what everyone else does. Like when everyone likes something, it's not cool anymore for me. Like, it's not special. So like, I like to be different, and think this was this other side of the coin. I could go to more games of the Clippers, and they were honestly arguably better that year. That same season, I went to a game in February. That was the next game I went to. Clippers Lakers, rooting for the Clippers. We beat the shit out of them. 20-piece. Elton Brand dominated. And I got an Elton Brand jersey that day, and it was so big for me as a second grade kid. It was I think it was like an adult small. I wore it to school the next day, and everybody said it was a dress. Never wore it again until I got old enough to wear it, and now I rock it all the time as a sign of my long-term fandom. But
Yeah.
Elton, when that I was already a fan going into that game, but after that February game, that game I went to, it was done for life. I'm a
In the
loyal
way,
person.
in that game, who did y'all beat in that game?
Lakers. That
Why?
was
Yeah.
it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was done. It was signed, sealed, and delivered.
Wow.
That was the locked me for Clipper Nation forever because I don't
Wow.
flip flop. We don't jump anywhere. I'm loyal here. I'm loyal to all the teams. Like we don't
Wow.
go nowhere unless
You.
the team moved to another city. That would mess. I'm not dealing with that. But I'm loyal to
Right.
the city and the Clippers. No matter how much Laker fans want to hate on us, we have been an LA team for 38 years.
It's true.
So
It's true. You didn't just
we've
get there.
established ourselves, not like the Rams. And I'm a Rams fan. We have not
Right.
established ourselves. This Monday coming up, I bet you there's going to be at least 30% Arizona Cardinals fans.
Right. 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 Because y'all haven't earned it yet, and let's see what they do.
Yeah, we haven't really been here to establish a fan base. Right now, the Raiders have the most fans in the city. And
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like the Lakers and the Dodgers, the Clippers still were not like that. But besides, like, there was one game against the Suns where they brought a lot of fans on a weekend in the playoffs. But against like the Jazz and the Dallas, like Jazz and like the Dallas Mavericks, the Memphis Grizzlies, like these other teams, the Denver Nuggets, like against the West, we have our fans there. Like we do have the stadium. You know what I mean? We've established fandom in this city, and it's a niche fan base. We're not the type of team that's like the Celtics or the Lakers or the Knicks that sell out even when they're trash. We're like every other team, but we just look that much worse because we're next to the Lakers. But in reality, with Steve Ballmer in charge, we're not the same dump that we were when I became a fan with Sterling. And that's one thing I got. So the story of that is the end of the story of my locking of fandom is that we beat the Lakers that game. We went on to have a better playoffs than the Lakers did. We made it out of the first round for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. I was in.
Right.
Been a fan ever since. We didn't make the playoffs for 5 years after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you made it again. What you got, CP3 and that
Yep.
Lob City. Yeah, that was a whole nother squad.
That was awesome.
What's
up?
Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was gonna say that was awesome that the Lakers just were about to get Chris Paul and we took them from under their noses, just like Kawhi.
I was so happy that Stern did that and gave you guys him, because it would have totally legitimized all the shit that Mark Cuban was saying, that only the big market teams get, the big name players all the time. Now, even though it's crazy though, even though Clippers are in a big market, they're in one of the largest market, second largest market in the NBA, they're not considered a big city team, which is weird. You know what I mean? You guys aren't, but you're still in that market. But for you guys to get him, it was just so much better than the fakers getting them. That's what I call them, because that's what they are, the LA fakers. I'm so glad that the fakers didn't get them, because it just would have been guaranteed championships for Kobe and him. It would have been no stopping them. It would have been stupid. It would have just been faker dominance all over again. It'd been horrible. Like, Jesus.
I know that Dan Gilbert, the Cavs owner, wrote a letter. I remember, you can find it on Google, ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Gilbert wrote a letter to Stern about how you're going to let this league be ruined with this super team collusion and like all this. It's just going to be, I think it was, as I said, like big markets, like these teams are just going to wipe us all out. And because the whole thing was, because remember, Pau Gasol was in that trade. Pau Gasol was going to Houston Rockets. So they were going to get, what's up?
He was a bitch though. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he was a bitch. Dan Gilbert was a crybaby bitch.
Oh, Dan Gilbert, I think he's having Pau Gasol.
Yeah, Cleveland. It was messed up how LeBron left you twice, but here's the thing: when he made that comment, put that post out there right after him leaving, the way he talked about LeBron, he just totally lost all credibility to me. I'm sorry, but keep going.
Yeah. So basically, but Stern listened to him in this case, and also Jeannie Buss came out and said on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson that the the Hornets were trying to pull the move before it was allowed to it was like tampering or something. Like they tried to pull the deal or negotiate before it was like legal, and they would have gotten in trouble or something. That's what Jeannie said. But also Stern, as we know, was in charge of the Hornets, and I think he could have still made a deal with the Lakers if they thought that was the best deal. But I also think that as you said, with the pressure of owners, especially Dan Gilbert at that time, they didn't want to make another super team in LA, especially with the Lakers having just won some championships. The thing is that the reason why people were also saying it was that they thought that they were going to get Dwight Howard because Pau Gasol was in that trade. He was going to go to Houston in that three-team trade. It would have been Chris Paul, Kobe, and Dwight Howard. And at the time, I'm obviously so thankful it didn't happen because we got Chris Paul and like it changed everything for us. But it's just funny because I'm surprised that you say that they would have been Laker dominance. You don't think that the Heat would have beaten them? You really think they would have got with Kobe aging, they would have gotten it done?
With that, if they would have got, I don't even want to have this conversation because I hate both teams. I don't like either the Heat or the Fakers, especially at that time. But if they would have got CP3, they would have had Gasol. They probably maybe even would have got another big. I mean, I think they might have even kept Bynum, minding his P's and Q's a little more, knowing that there's probably no stopping them from getting a championship because I think they'd be a little more seasoned for the playoffs. You saw what happened when the first time the Heat got in it. They got beat by, a Dallas team that had already been there and knew how it was going to be and took their time with it. When Miami was just trying to go, Dirk and Dallas was like, whoa, we're going to slow this down, and that's how they ended up getting the chip out of that. So I think Fakers definitely would have got that. They definitely would have.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been interesting for sure. Especially, I don't know if Bynum still would have been there though. I think that Bynum would have gone somewhere else if Dwight Howard came.
Maybe so. But to bring it back, so that locks you in as a Clippers fan, and I love. See, that's the one thing about Clipper Nation that I do respect you guys about. That you guys, Billy Crystal, all you die-hard Clipper fans, you're 100% Clippers. Like it's nothing about, you take nothing away from the Fakers. You don't hate on them. It's just y'all just trying to do your thing, and you take all the abuse that you got to take from them because, be honest with you, Faker fans, especially the ones you deal with in Los Angeles, they probably feel a little threatened because the little brother has been better than them for almost a decade, and it's can't help but, have that happen to you. You be mad, you know what I'm saying? So I respect y'all for that. What is it about you guys as fans? Like, why are you guys so dead on and die hard for the Clippers? Like, what is that about?
Well, I think it's an interesting dynamic because there really is a big majority of Laker fans. Look, there's not that many Clipper fans. It's been growing, with the more recent success amongst the youth. I think a lot of kids growing up now, it'll be a choice. It'll be, are you a Clipper fan or Laker fan? And it won't be as frowned upon. When I was a kid, man, I was the only Clipper fan. Like when I was, first of all, like in elementary school, obviously only one in my class. And in elementary school, probably like the only real one in my grade. And when we get to like middle and high school, there are some more, but for the most part, you're outnumbered completely. So everywhere these Clipper fans go in Los Angeles, and I think that people that are in other cities that are Clipper fans, with all due respect, and I appreciate all the nationwide and worldwide Clipper Nation support, but it's not the same because they don't have to deal with the Laker fans and what it really feels like to be second-class citizens, how it feels like to put on a Clippers.
They got to deal with the Faker fans wherever they live at because there's Faker fans everywhere.
It's true. I agree with you, but it's not the same. It's not the same as when you go to school and you like, I can't even, when we get to if we start talking about Lob City, I can tell you some ridiculous stories, but let's put it this way. You wear a Clipper shirt out in Los Angeles and you may get a comment. You may get someone saying like, people are going to say like a lot, almost guaranteed you're going to get a look. Like, it's something like, you see your players getting booed at Dodger Stadium, and you're a Dodger fan. I'm wearing a Dodger shirt right now. I'm a Dodger fan. Me and Laker fans will come together for that. But it's just you're in the minority. I was completely in the minority growing up, going to school. I was known as the Clipper fan. When people want to talk about the Clippers, they come to me. Right. It was like a novelty, and so there are those people scattered around, and it's starting to build up a little bit more. I've seen it amongst the youth. Like I work at a summer camp, and nowadays I'll see 50-50 in terms of the apparel, Clipper and Lakers on these little kids. When I was growing up, it's not like that. So, but what you said about we stay in our lane, a lot of us do. We Laker fans think that we talk a bunch of shit and we're like, think that we're going to take this city over. That's not true. That's a perception. A lot of Clipper fans troll and Laker fans buy into that stuff. But I also think a lot of Clipper fans hate the Lakers, just like everyone hates the Lakers, though. You know what I mean? The Lakers fans sometimes need to understand that when you want to brag about your championships, okay, but a lot of people hate you because everybody hates the teams that always win.
y'all.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of Clipper fans hate the Lakers. I personally don't hate the Lakers as an organization just because my uncles were not Clipper haters growing up. Trust me, my younger uncle tried to get me to swing over to Lakers side so many times. He made the pitch throughout my life. But I was like, nah, man, I'm like you. Like, we're not switching up. Like, I don't switch up. And yeah, Laker fans, I like Laker fans that can have real – here's the thing about Laker fans, though. At the end of the day, I used to think Laker fans are the worst thing on earth. But now as the game and fans have evolved, or devolved, I should say, these player fanboys stands, they make Laker fans look like angels because at least they're for the team. They understand that they talk about the game. They don't just shit on play. Like, of course, Laker fans right now are making Russell Westbrook Westbrook has his problems, but a lot of them make him a scapegoat. But it's not the same as LeBron's fans do it to him. Because they're pushing agendas. Laker fans want the team to win. And that's what I think people really underestimate is like when you're a team fan, you look at it from a team lens. When you're a player fan, your guy gets 40, you making excuses for him when they lose. That's not the point of this game. I played basketball throughout my life. Like, you can get 8 buckets. What good is it when you say you got 8 buckets and you lost and no one's helping you out? That just looks like some bitch shit to me.
Exactly. This is the thing that you just touched on that's amazing is them fanboy stands that know nothing about team, know nothing about history. All they know about is what they see right now in their individual players. It's so sad. It's really ruining, sports, thought, people having a good perception on sports and knowing what the hell the shit is about. Now it's just like you just rattle off some fucking analytical bullshit about an individual player and some shit about some sports or about that sport. What the fuck, man? It's no. It's that shit is, I think it's really fucked up sports conversation. I really think it has.
What was it like for you though growing up, like talking sports? Was it as many fanboy stands or was it more team fans?
It was a kind of both. It was kind of both, to be honest with you. We did have that back in the day, but I'll be honest with you, we had more. You know what? Back in the day, you almost got you got hated on if you were more for players, if you were team. And it wasn't your fault because the NBA back then in the 80s and 90s, they knew what's the number one way we can draw kids and draw people into this league. All right, let's have them go for players. And they didn't promote teams as much. They promoted players.
That was David Stern's doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and Stern knew exactly what the hell he was doing. That's why Stern is one of the greatest commissioners ever. He was also the most strict or whatever. He was very strict. He ran that shit with an iron fucking fist, but he knew what he was doing. And for him to, let me just mark it, because you said the first players you remember coming up were Shaq and Kobe. They were larger than life. I get that. For me, the first players I knew coming up were Dr. J and Kareem. When I was the youngest I could think of, those were the first two I ever knew. Like, I thought basketball revolved around them because that's what my family told me about, and that's what I saw on TV. But then when those two young dudes out of Michigan State and Indiana State came, like it was totally different. And they just marketed the shit out of those two dudes. You know what I'm saying? And then that young motherfucker from North Carolina come. Yeah. He just takes this shit, somewhere else. That's why I said to you on your show, to me, the holy trinity of basketball, literally the holy trinity is them three. You know what I'm saying? It's Magic, Larry, and GOAT.
Who were they? I remember you said that, and I totally agree. Who were they arguing for, though? What was the counter argument? Kobe, Steph, and Kevin Durant?
I don't know, man.
No, it was Kobe, Steph, and LeBron, I think.
I guess. I heard a bunch of people were throwing different ones in the space.
I think it was KD, Steph, and LeBron. Yeah, that's nothing. I'm taking Magic, Larry, and Mike every single day of the week. I always had this jealousy of my uncles that, here's the thing. My younger uncle used to tell me about Jordan, but he hated Jordan because of the fanboys. He hated Jordan because of the fanboys. But he said, this is the thing, though. He told me he regretted it really big when I was a kid, because in the beginning, when I became a Clipper fan, I didn't like Kobe. I was like, yeah, screw the Lakers. Like, I hate them. The reason I don't hate them is because he begged me basically not to hate them, because he's like, look, You got one of the best players that has ever played ball, and you get to watch him every night.
Yeah.
You're gonna really just spend your time hating on him? Like I did it with Mike, and like I kind of regret it. Like he was the best player ever, and I wouldn't even watch some finals because I was so mad the Lakers weren't in it. He was an
What?
extremist. My older uncle is not like that. My older uncle will watch. Like he's not as much of a dot. Yeah, like
Okay.
he's like Lakers versus the world. He thinks the season should just shut down when the Lakers get eliminated.
Yeah, it's horrible. That's
Yeah,
horrible.
but so I didn't hate Kobe from that day forward, and I'm so happy I didn't. I made an effort to watch every Laker game because of him, and it was I can't even tell you the difference between like I'm a Clipper fan, so I don't even care. I can come up here and say it. Watching LeBron every night and him every night, and I was a big LeBron fan growing up. But
Yeah.
like just watching them every night, the difference in care. This younger LeBron was different. He cared a lot. He went harder every game. But the LeBron of the last 4 years, the Laker LeBron versus Kobe, even older Kobe before the Achilles, year 17, year 16. It's just no comparison in terms of like how much they cared about the game. How every game felt real with Bean, every single one.
Yeah.
He took it so serious. I mess with that. Like that just speaks to I'm a big fan of the game, and I just love seeing how hard he used to play.
Yeah, Cole took it to another level in that season, and it was just, that's the one thing about about Kobe R.I.P. Can't believe you're not here. Still don't make no sense. That and we coming up on the anniversary too. What is
That's
it?
right. You're right. It's gonna be 2 years.
I know for real.
26th.
Yeah, it don't make any. The way he played like the way GOAT played. Like, okay, somebody in this crowd who's never seen me play is in this crowd, so let me go off. And that's how Cole played. Like he played like that, damn near every night, every time he stepped on the court. Like that's how it was. And I'm not gonna front. I could not. I hated Kobe. I couldn't stand it. I'm so sad.
Yeah.
I was not. He was not my boy. That was not somebody. I look forward to playing. I look forward to beating them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I wasn't that Kobe guy or that I respect him and all that. Well, I respected him. I just I hated his game, and always wanted us to crush him because he was on the wrong team. But to me, I always respected dude because don't say shit to him almost like GOAT, because if you say something to him, he will try to go off on you. So just keep it pleasant and do your thing.
Yeah. It was something watching that guy.
Right, it was. All right, so let's see. You go through high school, you jump into college. Now, one thing that is obvious, one thing that you mentioned earlier, education. That's a big deal with you and your family. Was there ever a time in high school or college where basketball, got in the way of school? Was there a time of that?
It doesn't even have to start there. I'd say elementary school, middle school, every time basketball got in the way, because I would watch a Laker Clipper game every night, and I used to just have this thing where I used to do the homework on the commercials. Oh man, and I just used to just wanted to watch the game, man. I just wanted to watch the game, and when I got from in high school, I used to get so tired after every day of school. I used to take a nap from like 4 to 6 until the game. So those hours should have been spent on homework, but I was so gassed and exhausted. Like it was just, I would just take a nap. It was whack. Like I would just take a nap every single day after high school. Like it was just weak. But yeah, it always got in the way. But overall, I got better with my homework habit over time during school, and I ended up doing all right. But definitely did.
What did you go to college for?
I did journalism. I just haven't been able to get a job because it's hard to get a job in journalism right now.
Got a degree in journalism, huh?
Yeah.
From you and okay, so you went to I don't know if we touched on that. What school did you go to?
Cal State Northridge freshman year, and then I did I was a domestic exchange student. Went to UMass for a year, but my plan was always to go there because my uncle went there. So I applied as a transfer and got in permanently for the last 2 years, and it was amazing.
And which UMass is that?
UMass Amherst, the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Dr. J.
Oh, that is a school. Everybody just want to say that that is right up the street from where I live. I went to UMass's basketball camp back in the day in the early '90s when we had Coach Cal.
Wow.
Yeah, and when UMass was like really, really good,
Yeah,
when they were
Marcus
like,
Camby.
yeah, Marcus Camby, Lou Rowe, Edgar Badilla, like we had a squad. Like it was the team was all out of the bag of chips. Um, it's so dope that you went there. You said you were going to go there for a year, and you ended up going there what for 3?
Well, I never was only going to try to go there for a year. CSUN, Cal State Northridge was a commuter school. So people didn't stay there, didn't really have a college experience like that. And I wanted to go somewhere else for college. So I knew that first year was a test, but a test that like I knew if I liked it even one bit, I was going to try to apply permanently.
Yeah,
And I loved it, applied permanently. And it was the best day of my life when I got in for those last 2 years.
nice. 2 years at UMass, huh?
3 overall because it's
Oh,
the exchange year, but 2 years is like a full student.
no
But yeah,
doubt.
3 years. It's really 3 years.
That's freaking beautiful, man. I'm so glad that you got to, go to the Northeast. Did you go to uh all right. Just to be honest with you, audience, we talked before the show. This man is right up the street from this place right here. This is, I just had this. This is one of my favorite cups. I drink out of this thing often. Okay. And this man was right up the street from this place. It did not make it there.
I
I
know
don't know
it's
what
so
happened, man.
it's so disappointing. I always wanted to go there before I graduated, so I put no pressure on myself because
Yeah.
every single weekend, man, parties and bars in senior year, like every single weekend, like
UMass is
it,
good for that.
it was unreal. Like I just had a time. I never wanted to leave Amherst. Like that's the truth. Like I never wanted to leave. I
Yeah.
wanted to go during quarantine, but it was closed because it was quarantine, like right when it hit. And I realized I
Oh,
missed my window.
oh
And
no.
yeah, I just like we should have, what we should have done really, me and my friends, is we should have gone one Sunday when there's no parties. But you know what? It's the thing about the East Coast. Sundays, football. Everyone's so into football on the weekends. So it would have
Yeah.
had to have been like a spring Sunday.
Yeah.
But man, who knows? Like a lot of people were recovering that day. Like it's just it was all it was a time though. But I'm gonna make it there one day. Like I'm gonna go back and visit my guys in Massachusetts and like we'll go to Springfield.
You got to, dude. I'm telling you, if you need somewhere to stay up there, I got you. I got family that still lives up there. We'll hold you down.
Appreciate
I
that,
need to
man.
go back home. Last time I went was in 2019, right before the pandemic. So, I took my family there. It was a blast. You would love that. You would love that Hall of Fame. I mean, it has. Does it have too many people in it? Yes, maybe so. But I'm gonna tell you like this: there's no other Hall of Fame that just keeps it together like that place. Like that place is a monument, and it's a 3D moving, all encapsulating monument. Man, it is dope. It's so interactive. All the stuff you can do, you'll love it. You will
Wow.
love it.
Okay. I mean,
So,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for sure.
for real, bro. All right, so you graduated. You just graduated from there, huh?
Yeah, I graduated. Well, 2020, it sucked, man. The pandemic. I remember the news and the days and everything, and it was
Yeah.
tough. We stayed there for a couple months with my friends till it was basically time to go. Till the year would have we stayed till the year would have ended. Left in mid-May, but we went back and got a makeup graduation this last fall, and that was awesome. After everything, to do it again or to do
Nice.
it, my parents got to fly out and see everything I'd done, see my friends. It was just unbelievable.
Oh, y'all did that. Oh, bet. So you did that this fall, last
Yeah,
fall.
I did. I took a video of it. I took a video of my trip, and I went to a Celtics game as well. I took a video. It's on my channel, so if you
That's
guys are curious,
beautiful.
check it out.
Who did y'all play?
Who did y'all play?
Yeah, duh. I'm tripping. Who did we play?
You guys played the Raptors, and you beat them. And Tatum
Good.
played. No Jalen, I believe. No Jalen this time. Al Horford played though.
Okay.
And one thing that was interesting was after all the history stuff I'd done, I tried to go and name all the numbers, the retired numbers, and I did it this time. I'd never done it before.
For the Celtics?
For the Celtics, the toughest one because they don't have the names,
Right, right.
and I got it. But it was that was just like a proud moment for me that all the work that I put in learning the '60s and like going through each year,
Right,
it paid off. Like
right.
I could name the Celtics numbers. I used to hate that. I used to hate because I've always been like pretty big into history as a kid, but I not like now. I used to not know all the Celtics numbers. I'm like, damn, like it just sucks. I don't know the numbers, but now I know all the players.
And when you say numbers, just to let everybody know, you're talking about the retired players.
Yep.
Yeah, because believe we have more retired numbers than any franchise, even more than the Fakers.
You have way more. And that's the thing is because you guys, well, here's the thing. I will say this as an objective lover of the Celtic and Laker history. And I will say that the Lakers standards for the retired numbers seem to be a little bit higher. They don't let non-Hall of Famers have their numbers retired. Whereas the Celtics, a lot of the guys from Bill Russell's dynasty, even though they were great role players, like Satch Sanders and Don Nelson, and even Casey Jones, who Casey Jones obviously is he was a coach as well. But I think those guys are great Celtics, and they can have their number retired, but they never made one All-Star team. And remember, the 60s and 70s was less players in the league, so there's a bigger chance for everybody to make the All-Star team. Casey's one of the best defenders of all time, though, like at his position. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him. Satch is an amazing role player. But the Lakers, there are no non-All-Stars and their retired numbers.
Here's the thing. They may not be known All-Stars, but they're known players. You know,
absolutely.
You know basketball, you know those players you just named. So that's number one. Also, too, if you're known as one of the greatest defenders at your position for that team, why wouldn't they retire your number?
I'm with you, but
you're taking away from your argument. But hold on, I'll let you talk. Now, here's the thing. This is why it doesn't. When you have your number retired with a team, it doesn't matter about your overall career stats and how well you're known in the basketball world and this, that, and the other. It's about what you did for that team. Like, that's one thing that I like about what Pat Riley does in Miami. They're probably going to mess around and retire Ray Allen's number with them. Why? Not because he was a great overall basketball player. It was really because he hit that clutch shot for them, in Miami when he was with the Heat. But he gives overall props too, because he retired Jordan's number, and Jordan never, came close to playing for him on any team. But he knows the GOAT's greatness. But it's just, to me, it's not about All-Stars. It's about dude made that steal in that one finals game that we didn't see that got them the game. It's just, it was just a steal, or it was a block, or it was a deflection, or it was a rebound, or it was it was a random jumper. It wasn't the one that put them over and put them ahead. It was the one that kept them in the game. And everyone that saw that game or knows that team in and out remembers those plays, and that's why you retire those guys' numbers. And to be honest with you, in the last 20 years with the C's are very careful on who they retire to, because the last person I think in the last 20 years that got it was what? KG in Truth. That's it. I don't know nobody else. So they don't just give it out to anybody. So it's just like, it doesn't matter. And I'll say this on any sport. It doesn't matter how many Pro Bowls, how many All-Stars, how many this, how many that. It is, what did you do for your team to help them win? You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel you totally. My thing is this: by that same criteria, there's no doubt that Michael Cooper should be retired for the Lakers then.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek Fisher, both of them. And if you really want to go Don Nelson, because he made a huge shot in the finals in Game 7 of '69, Robert Horry's like 3 rings, and the shot against the Kings is huge for Laker history.
I do Robert Horry in Houston, and I think he's already retired in Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's gotten his number retired anywhere.
You sure? I thought for sure he was retired in Houston.
I bet he was. I don't think he is, but I'd have to. I'm not 100% sure, but Derek Fisher and Michael Cooper should not even be questioned. 5 rings each. That's
true.
Derek Fisher made so many big plays.
I think they should have it, but the one thing that I notice about Staples Center, and I don't give a fuck what the name is now, I'm gonna call it Staples Center what it is.
Me too.
You guys have a lot of damn statues out there.
That's true.
Like, how many? Like you're hesitant on whose numbers you're retired, but you sure as hell will make a statue. Like, how many people have statues out there?
I'll tell you who they are. I mean, I think they're all deserving. I don't. But remember, Wilt Chamberlain does not have a statue out there. He still won a ring in Los Angeles,
Wow.
and
Wow. I'm
and
surprised. I'm
and
surprised.
neither does James Worthy, who I know you Celtics fans despise. But
Wow. I love Big Game. I love Big Game because he went to UNC.
okay,
You
well,
know what I'm
Big Game
saying?
is amazing. He's loved very, very well loved in Los Angeles. He's very
Yeah.
famous. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a
Big Game.
statue either, and he's very famous. But like,
Yeah.
no, the guys that have it. So Magic was the first one. When I first went to games in '06, he was the only one out there with Wayne Gretzky. It was just them two. Magic's is really big. It's the biggest one.
Okay.
And then you had the next one was, I believe, Jerry. And I think there's no question that Jerry West deserves a statue. There's none.
Logo. Yeah.
Has to. I mean,
Yeah.
14 years a Laker, only put for that uniform, and all the shit he did as an exec, no brainer. And then,
Side question. I don't mean to interrupt. Side question.
no problem.
Would you be offended if they changed the logo from him to somebody else?
No, I wouldn't be offended. I do think, though, that I just like Jerry West being the logo because he gets disrespected as his era gets disrespected completely by a lot of people, especially my generation. I mean, I hope you guys are on Twitter to see it, but my generation, you don't even want to know the half of what they say about the 60s and 70s. It's so
All right.
embarrassing. It's
Very good.
terrible. They don't know anything. They don't have. But anyway, Jerry West was the second one, and then the third one, I believe, was Elgin. And
Okay.
I mean, Elgin Baylor, like, he's the first superstar Laker in the Los Angeles era. Him and Jerry both, but Elgin Baylor was like partially. Some people say he saved them from bankruptcy, but those three were the first. And then Kareem in 2013, that was awesome. I mean,
Okay.
Kareem is not. What can you say about the guy? And then Chick Hearn is a small statue just sitting there. Him and Bob Miller, it's their statues are small. The commentator for the Kings and Chick Hearn, the Laker, just sitting in a chair. You can take a picture with him. Dope.
Wow.
I think it's awesome. A little
Yeah.
bit, just about 20 feet in front of the ticket office or the will call, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the last one was Shaq dunking from the top. So that's all of them. And Kobe's gonna come, and I think that's the last one. That's the last one. Kobe's is gonna be the last one. There's also Luke Robitaille for the Kings with the second King statue built out there, but that's it. Also, I don't like Oscar De La Hoya being out there. Just want to say that. That's it, though. That's all of them. Oscar De La Hoya shouldn't be out there, but Luke Robitaille and Wayne Gretzky and all the Lakers, all cool with me. And Kobe's gonna be out there, and rightfully so.
That's a lot of freaking people. Who is
It's
that
cool.
last dude? Who was that last dude for the Kings? Who was
Luke
that?
Robitaille. Luke Robitaille's a legend, but
Is he good?
he never won I don't think he won a championship though. He didn't win a championship with the Kings, but he's dope.
See, but he's just that good, and he was that good for that team. That's why they repped him like that.
Hell yeah, Luke's big time.
And why the fuck? I thought that was true. I forgot about that. Why the hell does Oscar De La Hoya have a statue in front of Staples?
Dude, I don't know. I think he had a lot of big fights there or something, but I'm not a fan of that. Like, I think that just keep it guys that played and did shit in Staples Center, like for real, like that play, not just like, you know what I'm saying, in front of the teams that play at Staples Center. I think that there should be a statue of Ralph Lawler outside the new Clippers Intuit Dome when we move into Inglewood, the commentator.
Hell, what do you mean we y'all moving to Inglewood? Oh, yeah.
The Intuit Dome, 2024.
You want because you guys, you're gonna have your own deal. Are you excited about that, or what's the deal?
Well, I have a lot of definitely sentimental value towards Staples Center for sure. I love that stadium. It's state of the art, nicest stadium I've been to in terms of how nice it is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's just a little too big though, I will say. But it's beautiful. It depends. If you like big, it's nice. And the statues, all that's very nice. But I am excited to go to Intuit Dome because we're not gonna have second class scheduling like 12:30 Sundays all the time. And also, hopefully, there'll be less Laker infiltration at our games.
Well, here's the thing: the 12:30 Sundays, I think, in that to accommodate the East Coast.
No, they do it to accommodate the 6:30 Laker game because we're JV and they're varsity.
Oh, because the Lakers.
But it's okay. I mean, JV has been beating varsity lately, and hopefully there'll be less Laker infiltration at our games at the Intuit Dome.
That's what's up. And you guys that place should be open on the 2024.
Yeah, and also another thing I'm excited about is that Ballmer wants to have like 30 rows uninterrupted of just 30 rows uninterrupted fans. And at Staples Center does not produce the best noise because there's 3 levels of suites in between the lower and upper bowl. So the upper bowl, top deck, or whatever you want to call it, is so much higher than lower bowl. It honestly feels like 2 different stadiums sometimes. TD Garden and Madison Square Garden, I've been to both. It's not like that. There's no bad seat in TD Garden, in my opinion. Same as Madison Square Garden. Staples Center, it is high. I sat at the top row when I was going to games as a kid, like of the top row back to wall, section 301. Like it's that part I don't like about Staples Center. So like I don't even be going to regular season Clipper games in the 300 upper bowl anymore. I don't go. I'll have to be lower bowl because the energy is not the same for Clippers.
That's horrible.
But playoffs, I go. Playoffs, I'll sit in the upper. I'm just happy to be there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Man, I totally got wrapped up into that because that is just crazy how the stadium could be so built just to get as many people in there as they can, but just we don't care about people having a good time or being able to interact. We just want to fit as many people as possible in as many skyboxes. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, it's actually, I don't even think it has more capacity than a lot of stadiums. It's the normal capacity of a lot of stadiums in the league. What it is no, it's still a great experience. Like I'm not going to take it away like it's just too crowded or anything. The main thing is the 3 levels that are separated are just, there's so much, it's so corporate. Like there's just so many luxury suites. They sell them for big money and stuff. Yeah. So like it's because of the suites, because it's LA, you know what I mean? Right. Like there's just so many levels of suites. So it's not actually crowded. Like it's actually like a 18,000 or 19,000 stadium, but it's just that there's probably less seats out there because there's more suites, and it's 3 levels in between the upper section and the lower. So it's just it feels like 2 halves of a stadium.
That's crazy. Okay. This is what I was going to ask you. And that's crazy, horrible and crazy. What do you think about the state of your team, man? Because to me, I'm not going to lie. You know what? Let me just be upfront with you. Dime, I want your team, man. I want your team. I want Bomber to pick everything up from LA and say, you know what? Fuck Los Angeles. Y'all can have this faker whatever. I will never be able to have this market. This is y'all market. Leave, come to St. Louis, set up shop here, and he can own this shit. Because this is low key a basketball city. Well, it's really a baseball town. But people love basketball here, and he would own, anything basketball related, be all his shit. So I'm not going to front, man. You know what I'm saying? I would love your team. But my thing is this. How do you look at it? Because it looks like y'all were on a trajectory to win. Now it just looks like y'all are just running in the damn mud. And it's just like I don't want to say you're hijacked by Kawhi and PG, but like, I don't know, like, what's the deal, yo?
Well, we put our trust into these guys and their health, and we had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, who are definitely a level below these 2 guys, but they all have the same thing in common, that they get injured here pretty frequently, and that's just something we have to live with. And as a Clipper fan, I'm used to it with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and even before that, Sean Livingston, Elton Brand. Like injuries have always happened in the history of the Clippers, even before I was a fan.
My boy.
What'd you say?
Sean Livingston was my boy.
Yeah, Sean. What do you mean? Like you knew him?
No. Just like
I just liked him a lot.
He was so dope.
He was awesome. Yes. And so a lot of injuries, over the course of my time as a fan. So, it's all about PG and Kawhi's health. If this season's a wash because they need to help summer to get right, I really hope Paul George was having an excellent year, man. He was having a great year. He was carrying us in a lot of games, and I hope he can come back this season, because there was a report that said Kawhi 2 weeks ago, it could be near like coming to a return this season, could be returned to the court. There's increased optimism. Then there was one guy that came out this week that said an anonymous Western Conference exec said that the Clippers could be shutting down Paul. But the thing is, it doesn't make sense to not push for the playoffs because we don't have a pick because we traded them for Paul. So we got to the best we can do to generate interest, fandom, ticket sales, all that, we should go for it. We don't want, there's no tanking. We don't have picks. So we got to go for it. And I'm not worried because it's okay. If Kawhi can't play this season, fine. But just know, he gets summer to get right. Kawhi Leonard, I still think, will be one of the best players in the league. Will he be as good as he was before? I really hope so. Nowadays, the surgeries are like so good. And he's still like 29, 30 years old. Kevin Durant just tore his Achilles. Kawhi's a little bit more fragile than that. He has a fucked up knee, and it's like quad tendinopathy or whatever they call it. But I still think he's a bad man that'll be ready to take things over. And Paul George is still great and playing the best ball of his career this year before injury. Some of the best ball of his career, and I think he'll be fine. The elbow injury won't be too big a deal.
What was it really that big a deal? Like, was the preferential treatment that Doc was giving, I guess, PG and Kawhi, was it that bad that it ran off Montrez and I think Lou Williams as well? Like, was it that freaking bad, yo? Because I'm gonna tell you like this: you guys haven't made up. I don't think you've made up that passion in that scoring and that defense that Montrez was giving y'all. It damn sure not that. Like, I don't think you have unless you get was it Jamal, what's my man that's so dope that don't want to play no more, Mr. Jamal Crawford. Unless you get him to replace Lou Williams, you're not going to replace that. So it's just like, what the hell? What happened with that?
Okay, so what really happened was 2019. We had this incredible season where Lou Williams and Montrader.
Wow. Get
Yeah.
into that. Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah. So they were awesome in 2019. Wow. They got us to the playoffs. An incredible job. 8th seed. We beat the Warriors in 2 games in that series against all odds. We had the largest comeback in playoff history, 31 points in game 2 of the first round in 2019 against the Warriors. We lost the series, but it was a great year. Next year, we obviously get Kawhi and Paul, which was insane. And one of the craziest summers and moments of my life when we heard that news. And everybody was thinking, man, these guys were the 8th seed, Lou Williams and Montrader coming off the bench. Kawhi and Paul George, Pat Bev, who's going to score on these guys? It was just a lot of media hype. In my opinion, too much media hype. Warranted, but the whole who's going to guard, I think that's a very, simplistic way of like the game today, man. It's not as one-on-one defense as it used to be like in the 2000s and 90s. It's all pick and roll team defense. You can have a great defender, but you need to be able to communicate as a squad. And that comes with reps. That comes with being on the court with one another. And look, Kawhi Leonard is still a great defender, but he doesn't guard the best players anymore because he conserves. He's an offensive, like one of the best players in the league. So he doesn't guard the best player anymore every night. And a lot of people still give him the credit. And I like Kawhi. I mean, he's one of our guys, but like a lot of people give him the credit like he's still playing that defense like we saw in the finals against LeBron. That's not the case. It's not the case. And anyway, so they gave us too much hype, right? We had a solid season. Paul George had his injury problems. The bubble happens, and Lou Williams has the whole strip club thing. To me, that showed the lemon pepper. That showed a lack of seriousness. Even though if you would have asked me right then and there who my favorite Clipper was on the squad, I would have probably said Lou or Montrader. But Lou and Montrader's grandma passed away. So he, I think, got to I don't know if he missed the first game, but he didn't practice before he played. So he really didn't find any rhythm. And Rick Carlisle in game 2, and neither did Lou. That's the thing. There's one thing about Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford. And I love Jamal Crawford. But these are the type of players that are on-ball creators, and when they're not hitting shots, they're not very good defensively. In Lou's case in 2020, non-existent defensively, really. And they're a negative on the court, essentially, if they're not hitting shots in the playoffs. And, we found that out very quickly in the Dallas series with Lou. And that slowly started taking him out of rhythm. He had one good game, game 4, the one that Luka hit that buzzer beater on us. But in the playoffs, he just didn't really find a rhythm. And he did not hit the shots when they were needed, like the Lou Williams of the year before that had rhythm. And here's the thing. We could afford that rhythm because we didn't have expectations. But when a guy like a Lou Williams has to be in this different role, the role that he needs to play if he wants to win a championship, and he can't stay on the court because his defense is not good enough and he's not hitting enough shots, that's a liability. And then the same thing was happening with Montrader. He was playing at a small ball 5. He's like 6'8", right? Rick Carlisle in game 2 of the Dallas series put in Boban to try to take advantage of him. And he was making Boban look like Rick Smits, like straight up, just getting dominated down there. And
They couldn't do
So
nothing.
Montrader didn't really get too many minutes and didn't get back to that rhythm, mixed with his grandma dying, didn't get back to that 18 points a game rhythm in the playoffs. We get to the second round, and Glenn Rivers makes the same mistake of,
Whoa, not Doc, Glenn. This motherfucker called him Glenn,
no,
yo.
he's Glenn Rivers over here. You might like him in Beantown, but he is Glenn Rivers on these parts.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it goes way back before this, but I already was suspect on him here. But this was the last straw right here. So
Glenn
this guy in the Nuggets series, Jokic is torching Montrader. Zubats is doing a better job, but he's still getting cooked too. But everyone's getting cooked by Jokic, period. And that's just the case these days. Jokic is a great player. But Zoo does a better job than Montrader. He's 6'8", and I'm going to say this about Montrader. He has some nice, good blocks, but he's not great in the pick and roll. Like his foot speed's not great, and his defensive IQ isn't great. He has some nice athletic blocks, though, and he works hard. I'm never going to take that away from him. He's a beast on the offensive boards, and he's the definition of go up strong. Like he does that. Nice. But in the playoffs, he got outsmarted, and he was not put in positions to succeed, quite frankly. Glenn Rivers left them out here to rot against Jokic over and over again. And this is a source that told me, one of the beat writers told me there was something within the organization that the analytics team, the assistant coaches would tell Glenn, like, look, this lineup's not working. They would show him data. He said, no, I'm not dealing with it. He would ignore everything. Remember, Ty Lue was on his bench. And Ty Lue has done a significantly better job in all facets since he has taken over. He got us to the conference finals in 1 year. Glenn would not call timeouts. And after each game, there was no adjustment at all. The same Montrader out there to rot against Jokic. And after the game, he would say, we just missed shots. Okay, we missed shots. But eventually, when you just keep missing shots, you got to adjust as a coach. Do the players, am I one of those fans that's going to blame the coach only? No, this is a players' league. Basketball is a players' sport. Kawhi and Paul George have to take accountability, and so do Lou and Montrader. But Glenn did not put them in position to succeed. It was comical. And you see, ever since he left that Celtics team, man, what has that guy done? He has not been out of the second round. And he's blown 3-1 leads in his career, and all of them he had some accountability as far as the ones with me. I don't know about the Orlando one. I got to watch the tape. But what happened was Montrader, we thought he was going to ask for a big contract, and we saw that. I think what Lawrence Frank realized and the coaching staff realized, we need guys that aren't going to be huge liabilities on defense. If they're a liability on defense, they need to have some upside. Montrader technically did, but the Lakers got him, and we got Ibaka because we wanted rim protection. That was the thing. We lacked rim protection when Zubats went out, so we got Ibaka, and we thought that was going to be better. Who's the better player right now? Easily Harrell. But
Ibaka barely plays.
We thought we got Ibaka. Yeah. He was coming off a solid season with Toronto.
True.
So, that was the move. And then Lou, we gave him a chance last year. And again, Ty Lue actually benched him when he needed to be benched. And he just started to get worse, older. Father time has caught up with him now. And he's not playing defense as a rebound when he misses shots. We made the move for Rondo. A lot of Clipper fans don't like Rondo, but I think he helped in the locker room. And he had some good moments before he eventually just didn't look very good in the Jazz series or the conference finals against the Suns. But yeah, sorry about that. Went on for long.
No, you're good. That's a whole nother deal with that with Rondo coming on there. But so you think him leaving was basically a byproduct of Glenn Rivers, not Doc, putting Montrez in or Trader? Is that how you call him? Let's before we finish this Glenn Rivers point, you got to why Montrader? What is that?
So the thing about Montrader is him and Patrick Beverley were the two catalysts of the whole kind of like an anti-Laker kind of spiel that they used to put on. They'd play extra hard against them. They would make it known like this our shit now. Like they would talk a lot of stuff in that game. Like, we're here. You're gonna know who we are. Like, and I remember Montrader, I have a clip on Twitter. It was one of my most liked tweets when I first couple of months of making my account, where he was like, excuse my French, we don't give a shit about all that purple and gold, the banners and all that. We're the Los Angeles Clippers, and we're here to show you we're the Los Angeles Clippers. So he was big into this us against the world mentality.
Right, he was.
Just to see him go to the Lakers directly after all the shit that was talked between the teams that year and the fans was just I mean, he can do whatever he wants, right? He's a man and he can do whatever he wants. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I can feel a certain way as a fan. And I think that I didn't like that he went to the Lakers right away because he was big into that us against the world stuff, big into that. And you know what? The Clippers didn't offer him a contract though, so he has every right to go to whatever team he wants. And he wanted to spite us and go. Okay, cool. But he learned his lesson. It didn't work out all sunshine and roses or sunshine and rainbows for the Lakers. So he's in Washington now. Cool. He can do his thing.
Okay. It's crazy. Okay. I just had to ask that. The same thing with Lou. Like, was it this?
Oh
So
no.
why did Lou not work out with you? Why didn't y'all keep him?
I told you because last year we tried, and look, we brought in Luke Kennard last year. We have a developing Terrence Mann. We have it was a developing Terrence Mann. It was, we had we had Luke Kennard, and we had Reggie Jackson. Because remember, our starting point guard was Patrick Beverly, right? And in the beginning, it's like you want Lou Williams over Reggie Jackson, right?
Yeah.
But as time went on, Lou Williams started to show that he really doesn't go for any rebounds anymore, bro. Like seriously, like, and that's a liability to the team. Like he stands around when the ball goes up and hopes one of his teammates gets it. And
Yeah.
and the thing is, he's a ball stopper. Like when he gets the ball, he wants to run pick and roll because he's like, I'm Lou Will, I can get buckets. He's always gotten buckets his whole life.
Yeah.
But when he's not hitting and he's not playing defense, it's a detriment. Reggie Jackson, when Patrick Beverly got injured, he got inserted into the starting lineup and he became more of a catch and shoot guy. And he started sniping and his confidence just went crazy. Then you saw the playoffs, like, was a byproduct of that. But, we have a developing Terrence Mann who is a defense energy guy. And, I'd rather, when you have a team with Kawhi and Paul George, you'd rather have that than a Lou Williams. And then there's Kennard, who is young and he is a great shooter and he just dribbles less than Lou. And Ty Lue likes ball movement. Like he doesn't like, he's less stagnant than.
Score like Luke cannot score like Lou though.
No, nobody can. No, none of those players I named can score like Lou. But I'm just telling you now, man. Lou, in terms of his efficient scoring days, he's a little past it. And defense wins championships. And right now we're on that brink of really good team and championship team. And I don't know, like you look at the Toronto Raptors, right, and the Lakers, the last two champions before the Bucks. In the main rotation, they had zero defensive liabilities. Zero. No liabilities. They may have had some average defenders, but you can't name one player that's a defensive liability.
Right. And I'll give you that. And I think one thing, you guys, you got more in Terrence Mann that you guys use him for. He could be more than just somebody coming off the bench. Like that guy, I think his ceiling is a lot more than people think he can be in this league. Like I think he could be, probably, better than Lou Williams, if not a star.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes,
I mean, I don't know if he'll end up being better than Lou Williams.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know how much offensive potential he has.
As good.
But I think he could be like when he.
Hello.
He's one of the best ever at what he did. 3-6 man of the years is big, but I can't. Terrence Mann could end up being a champion though. With his defense and that those type of players win championships.
True. All right, so let me ask you this before we wrap this thing up and get up out of here. How did you go from serious basketball fan? You played ball. How long did you play ball for? How far did you go with that?
Oh well, I mean, I didn't really play much past high school. I played intramurals actually. I played intramurals, but I never was like gonna go D1 or anything like that. I was just like a hooper, like at school that like could play in the pickup with good players and like, I don't speak on my own abilities, but I'd say I'm okay. Let's put it. I'm not that great, but I think I'm better. Sometimes I'm better and worse than I give myself credit for. Depends on how good you are, like honestly. But I always compete and I played my whole life. I still play. I've been not playing as much as I've wanted to recently, and I'm going to try to get back to that. Right. But I've always still played. I just never, I knew I was going to go D1 or anything like that, so I just started like playing as a hobby.
Yeah. Okay. That's what's up. My question was, so how did you go from big basketball fan to let me start a podcast and let me have it be about basketball, and boom, I have a great following. Like how did all that happen?
Well, I always wanted to have my own kind of thing, like about basketball. But I thought eventually it was like my goal was like, let's get a job, like let's work at ESPN, like let's be the next Stephen A. and get paid millions to just spew nonsense on TV. Like that's the dream job for all of us, I guess, to some extent. And I was like, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson having like ex players on their show, it kind of inspired me. Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to one day meet my heroes and like talk to them of like a fan that's well informed, that like played ball to an extent that they know like the game and are not just a guy that's reading numbers and like, it's very easy to tell like what people like. You don't even have to have played high level, but it's easy to tell which players have been on the court and like talk through a pick and roll than players that just have never, what's a give, I'd say watch out for this, but a giveaway to me if somebody that didn't play is when they all start deflecting to coaches all the time. Like, to me, I think the modern fan, a lot of guys really just blame coaches because they don't know how to write out the scheme themselves. Yeah. Like, what I'm saying? They're like, the coach is paid to figure it out. Like, no, you tell me, because it's not, if it's so easy to do it. Like, the thing is, every team has a coach. Like, you feel me? They counter you. It's about the players to me in the NBA. Like, of course, you need coaches. Like, I blame Glenn Rivers and all that. But like, if you're telling me Glenn Rivers is the reason we lost and Kawhi and Paul didn't have a chance to put that series away, you're making excuses. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are paid $30 million each to get buckets when it counts. To choke 3 games in a row as a team, no, you got to get the job done. Is Larry Bird choking 3 games in a row like that? Right. You tell me. You're a Celtics fan.
Correct. It's just, I was just going to say that, like, Doc Rivers, Glenn Rivers is not on the court. Rick Carlisle is not on the court.
Yeah. They can do they can mismanage, but like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, like, these players are not, these coaches are not on the court. It's about these players. So, okay, so what made you, jump off into this podcast? Like, okay,
yeah. So I wanted to, my dream was to, interview retired players, but obviously I got to build my platform. So at first I got on Twitter around January of 2020, but I didn't use it much. I was like, I'm going to use it when I graduate to try to like, around when I almost graduated, around graduation, I was thinking to myself, like, I'm going to start a podcast, honestly. Like, I'm going to start one, and I'm going to talk Lakers and Clippers and Celtics all the time and build a following and eventually add guests and do my dream of talking to ex-players. But when The Last Dance came on, I was inspired to take it to another level. And I realized before I was a big LeBron guy, and I said that this is a line that you hear a lot of kids use. LeBron is the better player, but Jordan has a better legacy. No. The legacy is because of how good the player was. They always say team accomplishment. Let me tell you something right now that I've learned over my young 23 years. And I think a lot of Celtics fans share this sentiment because the player that won half your championships for you, in majority, lives by this. When I hear the words, it's a team game these days, it's usually an excuse made by player fans that their player put up great stats, but the team lost. No. Right. A team game means it's not a team game means the team goal is to win. The team goal is to win.
Right.
And so if you're not winning as a team, you have failed. Whether you had a good game or not, that's not important. The team goal is to win. So you can't say it's a team game and blame everybody else. Why don't you are you getting the most out of your team? Are you leading by example on both ends of the court? Those are the questions that need to be asked first. And when you look at champions down the line, you see it lines up. Michael Jordan didn't have a better legacy just because he's on a better team with Scottie or whatever. No, he wasn't. He won it because he's so hungry. He took the game so serious. He didn't care about longevity and scoring records. He played to the point where he stressed himself out and needed to retire he retired. Like, he didn't feel like doing it anymore. But look, he retired because he pushed himself so hard. And like, look, bro is still chasing him. He's still chasing him and wins. You can talk about all the stats and all that. I don't care about that. Like, and Bill Russell, everybody's like, yeah, well, then Bill Russell should be the GOAT if you go by that. Bro, I'm not going to have any problems with people saying that. I know what Bill Russell did. He's the best defender in history, to me at least. I mean, and he anchored championships as the best defender. He's not a scorer. So to me, that's like, and the eye test, I watched the film that's available. The eye test passes it. He gets on the perimeter. He blocks shot. He's got great timing. Championships talk.
Every block shot Bill always got, he never blocked it so he couldn't get it. He always blocked it so he could get it or a teammate could get it.
Yeah, kept it in bounds. That's the thing. Wilton, other centers, they block it out of bounds. That makes a statement. But Bill, he tips it strategically so they start the break. It's just little things like that, man. It makes a difference.
No doubt. So that's beautiful, man. Like that's real. You know, for someone as young as you are, Dime, you really have like a great basketball mind. Like
No, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
yeah, like I dig where you're coming from. Like you know what you're talking about. You know the history of the game. So you do the podcast. You know, you start to get some. Where do the numbers come? Like what?
Yeah, so basically here's how it happened. So when I started thinking of the reason why what I said with the last dance, that whole Jordan realization, it made me think, you know what I got to do? I got to watch the film of these greats to know. Like it's one thing to know these accolades and read basketball reference and watch documentaries.
Right,
Let's watch the film. And if I have a podcast, I can document this stuff. And,
right.
and that'll teach the younger kids too. So I was like, who's the first person in the GOAT debate? Bill. So I went to Bill's first year and I started studying everything. There's not full games or anything that early, but I started studying every like series, little notes about certain major players each year.
Russell?
Bill Russell.
Oh wow. Okay.
So 56 was when I started. So
Okay.
I've done there's very little games, full games, but I said I'm gonna watch every full game that exists, every single one. I don't want if there's footage out there, I want to see it. So there's not that much for the 60s. You think that's a lot? There's not. Right now, I've done it for over a year now. I'm on 1971, and so a lot of my Twitter following right now is like 2,000 plus. A lot of them is because I've documented this journey, and a lot of people are old school basketball fans. But the reason I got 3,000 subscribers on YouTube was because after we blew the 3-1 lead, I had a rant that went viral. Simple as that. It's all it takes sometimes is one video. I got 2,000 subscribers from that one video. I just poured my heart and soul out of anger. I said some things that I regret kind of in the moment, but it encapsulates a situation of a frustrated Clipper fan that got his graduation taken away, wanted to do anything, but just needed to make it past the second round to break the damn curse, and they blew a 3-1 lead again, which was the worst memory of my sports life. Before that was blowing a 3-1 lead to Houston in 2015 with Lob City. And the fact that they did it again after all the shit that they talked, they deserve every ounce of slander that they got. Kawhi, Paul, all of them. Glenn. That's where the whole Glenn Rivers thing started. Because after that, I never called him the D word again. And by the way, he's a coach of the Sixers right now. And we know damn well there's only one Doc in Philadelphia. And that's not that guy.
You're funny. You're right though.
That's it.
Wasn't that okay? Yeah, but that was a year when you guys were in the second round and you blew the 3-1 against Utah, wasn't it?
Houston.
Houston.
Denver was with Jokic in the bubble.
Okay, yeah, that was the most recent one though.
Yeah. That was I posted the rant after the Denver series, and I had 30 subscribers, like just all my friends and family. And when that happened, it just went crazy. It has like 140,000 views now, and I got 2,000 subscribers just off that. That's what I learned. It's luck. Like you need to just get one video that gets a couple thousand, and they'll start flowing in. But like now, and now I'm at a period where I have some base following, but I don't. It's still like it's hard to get up from this spot. You know, like I'm at 2,000. I went from 2,000 to 3,000 last year, but that's just like, it's 1,000 subscribers. That's cool. And but after going from 2,000 in one video, you start thinking like, man, you start thinking about how like you can spam more. And it's just like, you don't want it to be that one hit wonder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't trip off that. Just be happy with the progress you made because you're going to make more. So don't
You're
trip
right.
off that.
I appreciate that.
What makes you, say what?
No, I said I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh no, you're more than welcome, Chief. You're more than welcome. What's your love of history that makes you want to go back and like? I mean, you started in 1956 with Russell's first year, like, and you're watching every. So
Game.
you're right now. Your quest is to watch every full game of his.
Oh no, every full game that exists every single year up until the year that I started watching basketball that's in quality that I can tolerate. It may take years, but I'm prepared to do it. I want to know Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic as if I was sitting there the whole time. I want to know every ounce of their careers. I don't want a stone to be left unturned. I need to know everything because nobody in my generation is going to do this. So I need to have an edge because here's the thing. The older we get, there's people that are not going to be on TV anymore that are talking about these guys' careers. These people that grew up with Larry or Kareem, they don't even be on TV anymore in 20, 30 years. I need to have an edge or else we're going to forget about everything. And these players are going to be like, look, I'm already seeing the Celtics dynasty die off one by one. It's very sad. And they never get their credit. And I'm not going to let that happen. Like, I'm going to do whatever I can. Like they're too good of players, and they deserve more love than they get. And I cannot stand when I see my generation calling them plumbers and they have to play against part-time workers. No, not in the late '60s. They didn't. Like Sam Jones was nice. Like Casey Jones is nice. Like these guys would be fine if they played today. If they just played
Great.
adapted today. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're all athletic. Like John Havlicek, people don't understand. He played every single second of the 1969 finals, a 7-game series, and he did not sit out a second. How if that happened today for anyone, they would go viral on every social media. They'd be on the front page of every paper, playing every second of a 7-game series. That's not normal. But John Havlicek did it, and no one talks about it. So little shit like that, like I need to watch everything. Like and look at the blessing. Like when you were a kid, probably you couldn't just go watch all of Dr. J's games in the ABA or something like this. I have the ability to go and watch the entire Lakers Celtics finals game by game. Like that's a blessing. And people do not take advantage of this because they just don't have the interest. But I know a reason why they don't, because the game is marketed as everything's just getting better and better. So everybody thinks like, why would I go back to what's worse? I can't watch this weaker shit. They need to market it as different, not because you're lying if you think it's just better in every facet. Like this is a joke. You know what I'm saying? I watched Rudy Gobert not be able to take advantage of a 6'7" forward in a game, in a crucial playoff game. You do that to Robert Parrish or any of those centers late in like the playoffs back then, and they're destroying people. Like that's a skill. Post game is a skill, and it's not the same anymore like it was back then.
Dude, I love your mindset. I love your passion behind it. I love your sense of history, your sense of your sense of preserving history and being a historian on this stuff, and really truly giving a shit and knowing how good the wealth of knowledge of the history of the NBA is, and trying to be a curator of that, man. I respect that shit, man.
Man, dude, I thank you so much. I mean, the best part is watching the games. I love watching. I'm like, look, man, this shit, 3-Pointville, like that's not the game I grew up with. Like that's not the game I grew up with. It has its pros and cons. For me, I don't like seeing a bunch of high pick and roll every second threes. Like some people love it, and that's cool. It's not my favorite. Like I like a little bit more variety in the game. And I don't even think that I like the 2000s the best. I think my favorite era of basketball is an era I didn't see. I think it's either the 80s or the 90s. And I'm just say this, man. I've been waiting like a kid on Christmas, man. It's gonna be like Christmas Day when I get to Magic and Larry Bird. Like those are my favorites. Like I cannot wait to see them play. I can't.
Dude.
But it's a process though. I gotta get through these 70s. Like people are like, why don't you just skip towards it? Like, no, you can't do that because everyone skips the 70s. That's the point.
Right. So where you at? You're in like 74. Where are you at right now?
71. I just released. So what I do is now on my YouTube channel, this is my signature video series. That's like the most passionate I'm about.
Say the name of your channel.
Oh, Dime Dropper Podcast on YouTube.
Okay.
And my signature video series is The Time Machine, which is like I was inspired by Kobe Bryant's ESPN show Detail, where like he breaks down the X's and O's kind of. And like obviously I don't have like coach like players knowledge, a thing or two. And you can and it's through my lens. And I want to break down the film of the game to specifics, the X's and like what's happening for people because they don't understand or they don't know why this is happening. So that's my goal, to do it throughout the years and let people form their own opinions on the GOATs through the videos. So right now I've made 4 videos. I released my last one yesterday. So it was my first one I released in months. First one was the 69 All-Star game, which was showcasing the talent. They're all under 30 minutes, like an episode length, like 20 minutes. It's like 69 All-Star game was introducing the talent. Then I did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's first NBA game, was my second episode. The third one was the Game 7 of the 1970 finals, the night the Knicks won their first chip. And then my one I just released yesterday was Oscar Robertson's first game as a Buck and Pistol Pete Maravich's first game as a Hawk. It's the same game, 1970-71 season. That's where I'm at right now.
Wow. That is so dope.
Yeah.
And you just take each game and you just ask some questions about it, and you have people answer like what in the chat or whatever?
No, what I do is so I watch every game and let me tell you this, there hasn't even been one. This is the level of how little footage there is. All these seasons, no season that I've done so far has had even 5 full games broadcasted.
Yeah.
Not even one. So, and I don't do a time machine video on every single game. Obviously that'd be ridiculous, but for this era right now, like there's only 3 games. So like I like to do one a season at least. And So for 1971, there was only 4 full games. Actually, it was 3.5 full games. So the only one that really interested me to do a video enough was actually no. I'm gonna do another one. Actually, there's 2 from this season. I'm doing that one, and then the Knicks Bucks with Willis Reed, Clyde Frazier versus Oscar and Kareem.
That is dope, man.
And then we're moving on after that. But yeah, I don't let myself move on to the next year of watching film till I do the content. I have to do the content to move on.
And you're watching literally every game from that NBA season.
Yeah, but as I said, there's not even 5 full games for any of these seasons yet.
Wow. So what are you gonna do when you get to when you have to watch like 60 some games? Or no, I'm sorry. 100 some games.
I'm gonna look for it. Well, that's gonna be in the 80s when Magic and Larry Bird are in the league, man. I'm looking forward to knowing everything about it. I'm not even gonna be rushing it. I'm gonna be taking my sweet time. I'm gonna be watching that shit. Oh my god. I hope it lasts forever, that 80s and 90s. I know one day I'm gonna have to see good old Larry and Magic walk away just like you guys did after watching all that games. It's gonna be tough. But I'm excited to see them come in.
I feel you, but not every game is gonna be that. It's gonna be some Sidney Moncrief Bucks versus Derek Harper, Rolando Blackman.
That sounds fantastic. I don't know anything about Rolando Blackman's game. I want to know every little thing about his game. I want to know everything. I want to know Adrian Dantley. I want to know every single one of these players. I want to know the role players that kids say, well, the average player is better today. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I want to know that, like, when they say like the average player is better today, you know people that say that? The people that can't name the average player back then.
Right. Preach.
Every time I say, who's the average player? They don't know. Because I watched the 60s, man. They have average role players the same way there's average role players today. They just play their roles back then. It's the NBA. Like, they think that like superhumans started coming out in 2000 or something. Like, it's wild. It's crazy. Bro.
You are on it, man. You are on this shit, man. Dude, I just want to say, man, congratulations, man. You are on your way, man. You are doing your basketball thing. I can't wait to watch you blow. Have me on your shit because we are gonna High Off the Glass is ready to jump on your thing.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to hear what you have, your basketball story. What? So like right now, my episodes are mostly I do my live recaps and shit, but I also like have people on for like history topics. But like, what would you like want to come on? Like anything specific that you like? What's your favorite like basketball type of basketball to talk about? Like Celtic stuff or like?
It does not matter. You know what I'm saying? It does not matter to me. Oh, this is what I wanted to say with that too. With what you're watching, I know you can't wait to get to Larry Legend and Magic, which I totally get that because they're the greater part of the Holy Trinity, my Holy Trinity of basketball. Remember to watch the 1979 championship.
It's on it.
Remember,
it's on my list.
Indiana State versus Michigan State. Watch that game. That to this day is still the highest rated national championship game in college basketball.
You have good memories of that game?
Say what?
Do you have good memories of that game?
No, I was. What was it? That game, I was in my mother's stomach. I wasn't.
Oh wow.
I wasn't born yet. I was still in her tummy. But I watched it when I got older, and that is a good ass game. I was born in '79.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And they played earlier that year. And it's just like, Larry Legend and Magic brought the best out of each other. They made each other better because their games were so similar. They were sick. And I hope you get to see some of the footage when they were on like the USA Olympic team and playing with each other on the same freaking team.
Oh, I'm never gonna watch the Dream Team for sure.
Dude, no, this ain't Dream Team. This is like before that. This is in the early 80s.
Oh.
Like yo, like, man. Yeah. It was pretty dope. Yeah, it was right before. It was like, it might have been that year right before they both came into the league. It was some like a couple Olympic teams, some in the 70s they did. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's hard to find footage. Yeah.
I'll try.
You'll get it. But dude, what do you have next besides doing that? You got the spaces every Wednesday. Throw that out there again. Give people the times and the day for that.
Twitter Spaces every Wednesday. Dimes Bank. We can talk about any team, any era, whatever, any conversation. 11 o'clock Pacific time, a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Central. So Twitter Spaces, catch me there, and then my YouTube channel. I'm definitely general basketball, NBA right now, but mainly Lakers and Clippers. I go live post game, basically every game, and I go to almost every Clipper game and I post a video about them. Post a video at the game to show you guys it. So, like last playoffs, I have like every game there, so you can check that out. The home games. And then my history videos I continue to make. And then obviously bringing guests on to talk history. So like that's the thing. If you want to contribute to the discussion, that's what I was saying, like specific topics. Like if you want to come on to contribute to the discussion of like a time or like era or year or team that you know a lot about, I'd love to have you on for that too, because then you like help me out as well.
That'll work, man. It's just like I said before, my stuff is pretty vast. Like my favorite thing to talk about in basketball is literally any and every part of it. You know, it's not one. I guess let me just be honest. The Holy Trinity of basketball. Those three. You know, the GOAT, Larry Legend, and Magic. That's my absolute favorite. But then everything else, you know what I'm saying? You know, ask me questions, you know, and I will ride with it. If it's basketball related, you know, I'll either know it or tell you I don't know it.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, have you been following the Celtics a lot this season?
Oh, please believe, yes, sir.
Okay, then we can definitely start out with that too, because I'm definitely start out with that too.
Yeah, I think we need to make a couple trades. I think they need to focus in and have more focus late in games because they get great leads and blow them. They lose focus late in games. That's a problem. Once they stop doing that, you know what I'm saying, they'll be good to go. You know, but they do need to make a move. They need to trade. They do need to make a move.
Fair.
Right. But I tell you what I mean by focus is JB and JT. They need to have more focus late in games. Like that and Marcus Smart just taking, you know, hideous threes.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a while now.
Just stepping into just bad threes instead of JT's making the right. See, this is the thing I don't like. You know, he takes the most heat because he's the best player. He's the best player on the team. He's one of the best players in the Eastern Conference in the game, really. And he takes so much heat for not making the right basketball play. But when he makes the right basketball play, his teammates don't make the damn shot. Yeah. So it's not JT's fault. You know, it's just it's a lot of shit going on with it. It's a lot of stuff going on with it. You know, but the C's will figure it out. You know,
yeah,
figure it out. So yeah, you tell me. I'm whatever topic you want to get into with it. You know, we can definitely do that, man. I'm down.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, man, I want to say thank you, you know, for coming through, man.
No, thank you, man. It was a good conversation. I love it.
You know, I appreciate you, you know, taking the time out and stopping through. You know what I'm saying? Coming through high off the glass, yo. What you got up for tonight, man? It's super early where you at. You're 2 hours behind.
Yeah, I think I'm probably just gonna watch I recorded the Clipper game. I'm pretty sure we got our asses beat, but I'm probably gonna watch the last 3 quarters that I didn't catch just to see, you know, how we lost.
That's what's up. I ain't gonna say that, man. You guys, man, it looks like you running.
I know it's tough.
You running into some mud right now. I know how it is. It's a lot of the league doing the same thing. My team doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But shit, we'll get it together.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope so. For real. We will. All right, man. Holla at me, Don. Be safe, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Have a good night.
You too. Peace.